Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Doctor Strange, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, Chiwetel Ejiofor, forgive me if I said that wrong, Rachel McAdams, Benedict Wong, Michael Stolberg, Benjamin Bratt, Scott Adkins, Mads Mikkelsen, and Tilda Swinton, and directed by Scott Derrickson. Same name as me, kind of. But, yeah, let's just get right into this movie because there's a lot to talk about in here. We open the movie with Caecilius, played by Mads Mikkelsen, getting the book of ruling the world, let's call it. And Caecilius chops a man's head off, which is a little too extreme for a PG-13 rating. And the Ancient One, played by Tilda Swinton, tries to stop Caecilius, but unfortunately doesn't succeed. But I do like the action sequence. I thought that was pretty neat. Dr. Stephen Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, is a character I like, especially his American accent. And as well as we get to know him, he grows on me as a character, to liking him to loving him. His ex-girlfriend and colleague, Dr. Christine Palmer, played by Rachel McAdams, is a character I really enjoyed watching in this movie. Stephen drives way too fast, like he's in the Fast and the Furious, and then he gets crashed for not focusing on the road, which is something you gotta do on the road. And that's when I begin to love Doctor Strange as a character, because his hands shake around and he wants to get back his hands, and he wants to also get back to his work ASAP, but acts like a real dick about it, which is never okay with anyone. We get introduced to Jonathan Pangborn, played by Benjamin Bratt, who I don't know about the character because has so little to do, and sends Stephen to Nepal to go to the Ancient One and the Gurus, and Stephen gets into a fight for a watch, and we meet Mordo, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor from 12 Years a Slave. Forgive me if I said that wrong again. Who's a character I can like just fine, and he's a good actor despite how much I don't know how to say his name. The real life actor's name, let me rephrase that. Stephen's mind gets blown away when the Ancient One flips his world upside down, and Stephen says, "Teach me." And the Ancient One refuses to show him the powers because he doesn't believe in that sort of thing. And I really like the way how their powers work. Stephen begs to learn the power, and is finally let in by Mordo. Oh my god, I'm thinking about Lord of the Rings now. And that was a good sequence, in my personal opinion. While Stephen learns his powers, we meet Wong, played by Benedict Wong, who I really enjoy seeing in this movie for the fact that he's Wong and is played by Benedict Wong. And I find that hilarious, and he doesn't know any pop stars like Adele, Eminem, or even Beyonce. I thought he was humorous. I thought it was funny how he was listening to Beyonce while Strange was stealing books from his library. I like the shots of New York, Nepal, and Mount Everest. They're absolutely beautiful. Like, really, they're gorgeously shot. And the score is mysteriously strange in a good way, because this movie is called Doctor Strange, and strange things happen in this movie. So Stephen ends up in a house in New York for sorcerers, and meets Caecilius while he's killing a sorcerer, and they get into a fight, which does feel brutal, but I like how they can go from a different country like Egypt and Africa. And the cape picks Stephen, and I really dig that cape. It's an awesome cape, and makes Doctor Strange trap and cage up Caecilius, and he explains how Dormammu's evil plan, who's Caecilius' master, and I like how Mads Mikkelsen explains Dormammu's evil plan. It makes him look evil. Stephen goes to the hospital he used to work at and asks for Christine, and tries to get healed, and Caecilius' henchman comes in and fights Doctor Strange, and Stephen does kill him with the electric heart beater, and he's going to regret that because he's the doctor, but he really needs to save his own life. That bothered me for your own life reasons, but I do like how Christine jumps when the mop comes down, and I thought that was pretty funny. I like the chase in New York, and while that's going on, Stan Lee makes a cameo as a passenger on a bus. It was pretty funny, but not as funny as the library scene in The Amazing Spider-Man, for example. So the Ancient One fights Caecilius and dies just right out of the blue, and ends up in the hospital, and continues to stay dead. And I like how she's projected as a ghost. With Steven, and that was a powerful moment of the film when they stand as shadows outside of the building. In Hong Kong, there's a fight between Doctor Strange, Mordor, and Wong versus Caecilius and his henchmen for Dormammu to invade Earth, and that was a good fight for Doctor Strange to use his powers. But Doctor Strange versus Dormammu, where Strange comes to bargain, did kind of annoy me in a convenient way. But don't get me wrong, that was a way to get a piece on Earth from a space enemy. Strange tells a joke and Wong laughs at it, and I liked. I thought it was really funny. Mordo, something like that. Oh man, I'm not even gonna say his name right anymore. Goes his own way in the sequel, will become a bad guy, which I'll explain that in a few minutes. So credits roll to a scene which will be in Thor Ragnarok, where Doctor Strange talks to Thor, gives him an endless amount of beer, was hilarious. The after credits scene is Mordor or something like that, going to Pangborn and takes away his powers because too many sorcerers. And I get that for comic book reasons, but if someone who's never read a comic book and of this character could probably get lost by this point. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 8.6 out of 10. I do love the main character and I love the world and can't wait for the sequel. And I really enjoyed this as a fantastical world of Marvel, and it gets some strange things going on, but I'm glad part of this title is strange. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next week I will be back with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And until next time, Avengers Assemble!